Hello everyone. Today the topic I'm going to explain is measurements. Under this topic we are going to discuss the different apparatus we can use to measure the different quantities like mass, temperature, time, volume of a gas and volume of a liquid. I'll try to cover this whole topic into the single video so that after watching this video you'll be able to solve all the past paper questions related to the topic. So let's start. Our first quantity which we are going to discuss is mass. As you can see written on the board, we'll discuss the SI unit which we can use for the measuring mass, the other units used which are the smaller units, the apparatus that we can use to measure the mass. So the SI unit we can use for measuring mass is the kilogram. The other smaller units are grams, milligrams and micrograms. You can see their symbols here on the board. The apparatus that we can use to measure mass is the beam balance and the electronic balance. These two balances, if we compare their accuracy, then electronic balance is more accurate as it gives us the reading to the 2 decimal place. As it is written here, the accuracy is 0.01. Like if you want to measure the mass, very small masses, then you can use the electronic balance. And this is giving you more accurate result and the fastest result. So, in the mass, the quantity mass can be measured in the units kilograms, that is a bigger unit. The smaller units are the grams, micrograms and milligrams. And the unit bigger than kilogram is the ton. So, the SI unit is kilogram, but among the other units you can add ton. And the apparatus that we can use to measure mass is the beam balance and the electronic balance. And among these two balances, electronic balance is giving you the more accurate result and the fastest result. The next quantity which we are going to discuss is time. Time can be measured in the seconds, minutes and hours, but the SI unit for time is seconds. How can we convert these units into each other? Like, as we know from our common observation, that 1 minute is having 60 seconds and 1 hour is having 60 minutes. So if you want to convert hours into seconds, so what you have to do is you have to multiply the given number. Like if you are given 4 hours and you need to convert it into seconds, then what you will do, you will multiply 4 with 3600. So that will convert your quantity in hours into seconds. And the apparatus we can use, as you can see on the board, is the stopwatch. There are 2 types of stopwatch, analog stopwatch and digital stopwatch. Among these, what is the difference? In the analog stopwatch, which is usually the one with the hands, which you are having in your home. You observe that watch in your home. As a wall clock, you see that you can read the time by reading the arms of the watch. And in the digital, that stopwatch is showing you the time in the digits. So, I would say the digital stopwatch is more accurate. That is giving you a better result. So, yeah, that is giving you the better result. The next physical quantity which we are going to discuss and I am going to explain is the temperature. Temperature is any hotness or coldness of the body. So, how much cold or hot a body is, we can measure by measuring its temperature. So, SI unit using for the temperature is the Kelvin. Other units use the Celsius and Fahrenheit. If you need to convert these units into each other, then the formula, we can note down that from the board. And the apparatus uses the thermometer. There are different types of thermometers that are available, but we are going to discuss only 3 types: the mercury thermometer, alcohol thermometer, and we'll talk about the temperature sensor, how we can use it and where we can use it. Among the mercury and the alcohol thermometer is the most sensitive one. As we know that alcohol is very volatile compound. So if you are measuring the temperature of a body using an alcohol thermometer, that will show you a fast variation in the temperature. So, and at the homes, when you are having temperature and the doctor is taking the temperature of your body, he is using the mercury thermometer. That is, you can observe at your home as well. Temperature sensor is a device actually that we can use to measure the hotness or coldness of a body, and that is usually used for taking the measurements outdoor. And that temperature sensor is attached to the data logger that shows the variation of the temperature over a certain period of time. So mercury, alcohol and temperature sensors are the apparatus that we can use to measure the temperature. The next physical quantity is the volume of a gas. As the name shows, the volume we are measuring, so the SI unit is the cubic meter. Other units are the cubic centimeters and cubic decimeters as well. In order to convert these units into each other, we should know that 1 cubic meter is equal to 1000 decimeter cube and 1 decimeter cube is equal to 1000 centimeter cube. That is what you can note down from the board. And if you want to convert decimeter cube into centimeter cube, then the quantity is need to be multiplied with 1000. Like if you are having 4 decimeter cube and you want to take the reading in centimeter cube, then you need to multiply it with that 4 with the 1000 and the answer will be 4000 decimeter cube. And if 4000 centimeter cube, sorry. And if you want to convert centimeter cube into decimeter cube, then you need to divide that number with 1000. And the apparatus that we can use to measure the volume of the gases is a gas syringe that can be made up of glass or plastic. So that is just the material by which they are made up of. But the volume which a gas syringe can usually measure is the 100 centimeter cube. So up till now we have discussed the 4 quantities, physical quantities: mass, time, temperature and volume of a gas. So next quantity which we are going to discuss is the volume of a liquid. Next physical quantity that I am going to explain is the volume of a liquid. The liquids are measured usually in the, as we have already discussed, the units of volume: cubic meter, cubic centimeter and cubic decimeter, and the interconversion is the same. The only difference in measuring the volume of a gas and the liquid is the apparatus that we are using for the liquid and gases. For the gases, of course, we are using the gas syringe made up of glass or plastic, measuring the maximum volume of a gas of 100 centimeter cube, and using the apparatus for measuring the liquid is the beaker, measuring cylinder, pipette and burette. Now one by one I will explain their accuracy and how much volume they can measure accurately. If you want to measure the approximate volume, then beaker is the right apparatus that you can use. You can take any approximate volume of 20 centimeter cube, 30, 35, 40. It doesn't give you very accurate volume. For measuring the fixed volume that we are usually using for the titration purposes is the pipette. Pipette usually measures the volume of 25 or 20 centimeter cube. And if you want a little bit more accuracy, the nearest to 0.5 centimeter cube, measuring cylinder can be used. Like if you want to measure a volume of 13.5, then out of these 3, beaker, pipette and measuring cylinder, you would prefer measuring cylinder to measure the volume of 13.5 centimeter cube. The most accurate apparatus that we can use for measuring the liquids is the burette. That gives you that apparatus we can use for measuring for doing the titration purposes, and it can measure the volume with the most accurate reading, that is up to 0.05 centimeter cube. Like if you want to calculate the volume of 38.95 centimeter cube, then out of these 4 apparatuses you will use burette. Up till now we have discussed the SI units, the other units, the apparatuses of the 4 physical quantities: mass, time, temperature and the volume of the liquid and gases. Now our next topic under discussion, and I'll explain, is the collecting. How can we collect different type of gases? To decide which apparatus we can use or we should use to collect these different type of gases completely depends upon their solubility in water and comparing their density with the air. So we need to understand and learn these gases which are insoluble in water, soluble in water, and those gases which are lighter than air, and the name of the gases which are heavier than air. Then we will discuss the type of the apparatus that we need to use or we can use for measuring, for collecting the insoluble and the less denser gases and the soluble and the heavier gases. So hydrogen is the only gas which is insoluble in water. I have written oxygen under solubility, though the solubility of oxygen is very slight, but we consider it in a soluble gas. So carbon dioxide, oxygen, chlorine, ammonia, and sulfur dioxide and hydrogen chloride are the soluble gases. They do dissolve in water. And talking about the density, only ammonia and hydrogen are less denser than air, like they are lighter than air. If you will try to collect these gases, then what will happen? They will collect above the surface of air. And carbon dioxide, oxygen, chlorine, hydrogen chloride and sulfur dioxide are heavier than air. Like if you want to collect these gases, they will be collected under the volume of the air or under the air. The apparatus that we are usually using to collect the gases is the delivery tube and the gas jar. There are other tiny apparatuses that we need to assemble to collect the gases, but the main purpose is to identify the apparatus that vary along with the solubility and the density of the gases. If we are collecting a soluble gas, then we cannot use the trough of water, or we cannot collect the gas over the surface of water, because that gas, while passing through the water, will get dissolved in the water. So we cannot collect it over the surface of water. In case if we are collecting a gas which is slightly soluble in water, like oxygen or carbon dioxide, then what happens? We can dry those gases. The next subtopic is how we can dry the gases. If we are collecting the gases over the surface of water and some water molecules get attached with them, so how can we dry those gases? The next topic, I'm going to explain that. But for now, the gas jar, as you can see on the board, I have drawn two gas jars. One is in the upright position and the other is upside down position. That is to explain that those gases which are lighter than air can be collected over the by using the upside down gas jar, because they will be collected by the upward delivery and the downward displacement of the air. Means air will be displaced down and the gas will be collected by the upward delivery. And if you are collecting a heavier gas which is heavier than air, which is denser than air, then air will be moving up towards the upper side, and the gases will be collected beneath the layer of the air. So the air will be displaced upward and the gas will be delivered downward. So these are the three methods to collect the gases which are soluble or insoluble in water, and the lighter and the heavier gases. Now we will discuss the selection of the apparatus to collect these different type of the gases like hydrogen, carbon dioxide, oxygen, chlorine, hydrogen chloride, ammonia, sulfur dioxide. As we have already discussed their solubility in water and their comparing their density with the air. So depending upon their solubility and density, we are going to select the apparatus that we can use to collect these gases. As we know that hydrogen is insoluble in water and oxygen and carbon dioxide are slightly soluble. So we can easily collect them over the surface of the water because they are insoluble gases. So the method which we are using is the displacement of water. Displacement of water means we can collect these gases above the surface of the water, and then if some water molecules are attached with them, then we can dry those gases obviously. And in the next subtopic, I'm going to explain the drying material and the apparatus that we can use to dry the gases. Now we will discuss those gases which are heavier or lighter than air and are soluble in the water, can be collected by the upward delivery and the downward delivery. As the diagram you can see on the board is the upward delivery. So that method is usually used to collect the soluble gases which are the gases which are soluble in water and which are less denser than air, such as ammonia. In that case, the gases which are less denser than air can be collected over the surface of the air or over the layer of the air, and the method which we are using is the upward delivery, and the example is the ammonia. The other gases like chlorine, like hydrogen chloride, which are denser than air and are soluble in water, can be collected by the downward delivery or the upward displacement of the air. Means air is moving upward and the gases are being collected below the layer of the air. So that method is the downward delivery or the upward displacement of the air, and the gases that can be collected by using this method is the chlorine and hydrogen chloride. Here we will discuss how can we dry a gas that has been collected over the surface of water, and if some water molecules are attached with it. what drying agent we can use and what should be the assembling of the apparatus, how we should arrange the apparatus. Among the drying agents, you can note down these drying agents from the board. I'll say their names. Anhydrous inorganic salt, sodium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, acetone and dry ice bath, sulfuric acid, fused calcium chloride and quicklime. These are some of the drying agents commonly being used for drying the gases. One very important thing discussing the drying agent is to select the right drying agent for a certain type of the gas to dry it. As for example, sulfuric acid cannot be used to dry ammonia, as ammonia will react with sulfuric acid. So to dry ammonia gas, we need to use quicklime, that is calcium oxide. Sulfuric acid can be used to collect the gases like chlorine and hydrogen chloride that do not react with the sulfuric acid, and that can easily be dried with this drying agent, sulfuric acid. Fused calcium chloride can be used to remove all the traces of water from the gas like hydrogen, as hydrogen does not react with the fused calcium chloride. Fused means the molten or the melted calcium chloride. So melted calcium chloride can be used to dry moist hydrogen gas. So once we will use fused calcium chloride, we can easily dry moist hydrogen gas. If you are using the drying agents to dry a gas which is being collected over the surface of water, then that is the apparatus arrangement which you should be very careful about, because in the past papers, whenever the MCQ paper 1 or paper 2 is coming, so they are asking you to in paper 1 they will ask you to select the correct arrangement of the apparatus or the method which you can use to collect and dry certain gas which they have given you in the question. And sometimes in paper 2 they can ask you to draw the apparatus for collecting and drying certain type of a gas. So the apparatus is given in I have drawn it on the board. I have just given image or an idea what arrangement should be there or what points you should be more careful about. If you can see on the left hand side, the gas which need to be dried should be entered through that delivery tube, and the mouth of that delivery tube should be immersed into the drying agent. That's how that gas will be dried properly. And once the gas is going into the drying agent, it will be collected over the surface of the dry agent, and the next delivery tube will take it to the collecting jar where the will collect the dry gas. So this is the full topic I have tried to cover in this video. You need to watch it, the whole video, and then try the past paper questions. I hope you will be able to do that. In case you find any difficulty in answering the past paper questions, please write in the comment section, and in my next video I will answer those questions. Thank you so much. I'll see you again.